last time around. Yes, Contractz had a pretty solid performance, but unfortunately there weren't a lot of good targets for him early to really snowball the game. We do have a lot of jungle bans like you guys are talking about. Maokai, Wukong, Sejuani, Elise all banned away along with the Thresh and the Annie. And over there on EG, let's see how they want to approach this. I expect their jungler to be in the first half of the draft here as per usual. You don't want to allow that pool to get pinched anymore, but they want priority on Varus before anything else.
Yeah, they wanted to ban away Inspired's legendary Wukong, so that left open the Varus this time around. Instant pickup for FBI, and honestly, Inspired absolutely smurfed that last game, so due respect.
I will say that FBI has looked super comfortable on this Varus pick the entire split. I think that is probably his most played champion, and he was just completely popping off on it, consistently winning lane on it, consistently putting out a lot of DPS and fights on it. And he did look a little shaky last game on Zeri, so it's really nice to see him actually on more of this comfort. I expect to see a much better performance from him this game. And yep, they're taking away the Zeri now.
The Zeri going to be hovered by CLG, not locked in just yet, but it is the Ahri picked up for Jojo on Evil Geniuses. They want to run that one back. Had a couple of clutch charms in the previous game to be able to guarantee kills on those squishy members of CLG. And yeah, this time around, Luger is going to be the one piloting the Zeri.
I think that this is also a good switch for CLG. So I think these are actually adaptations that are good for both teams right now. They're both kind of leveling up in this one because Zeri is so much more tanky as far as AD carries go because you rush the shield bow. Also, you have the extra dash through walls, a lot safer, a lot easier to keep safe than the Jinx.
I am curious what Vulcan's going to take support here into this Rakan. I expect to see support pick on 3 here for sure.
So, Thresh is banned.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be Ashe. Okay.
Ashe Varus, double archer lane,
Wow.
infinite poke, constant spam.
They are definitely playing to win this lane really hard bot. Like, they're going to be trying to put the Zeri really behind. I know that this lane, specifically the Varus Ashe, used to be even stronger before the nerfs, and so they're definitely going to be trying to pick something. I'm expecting an early ganking jungle as well to try to kind of dive their bot lane, pressure their bot lane really hard, and yeah, we'll see what happens. They also banned Sion away from CLG this time.
Banning out the Scion, making it so you don't have that comfortable tank to just lock in against whatever might be there. Remember that EG playing from red side here again is going to have that final pick of the draft for whatever sort of counter pick they feel is most effective. Poppy banned out by CLG. They have 3 different champions that can all have dashes interrupted by Steadfast Presence. Inspired is someone who's not afraid to lock in the Poppy if the draft says it's a good idea. So I like the fact they're taking that one out of the picture.
And with more of these tanks getting banned, though, we're also opening up some more possibilities for some, carry topside.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, they did leave open K'Sante. I'm definitely expecting to see that pick for Dhokla, but we'll see. I mean, I do think that Ssumday does have a lot of answers to carries if Dhokla does blind it, but I think that they might just send it anyway, just to kind of take away some of that pressure away from bot side if it is going to be a really bot-centric game. So I'm expecting.
I want the Lee Sin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's covered here. I like the Lee Sin the best. Jarvan, it's kind of hard to keep track of Zeri because he jumps through walls.
Yeah.
So the Lee Sin definitely going to be the pick here for Inspired. So mobile, and you have the engage with a double Ashe Varus bottom lane and an Ahri mid. There's so much CC for this Lee Sin to work off of.
Oh, wonder what they're gonna pick top here. I'm definitely expecting a K'Sante, but we'll see. Maybe a mid top double fight. Oh. Vex.
Vex into Ahri, the Vex counter pick for Palafox in mid.
I know Palafox is a big fan of the Vex, always looking to counter pick, LeBlancs or Ahri's with the champion. So this is a very confident pick for Palafox himself, but also look at the team comp. It does work very well with another dive burst combo here. Vex plus Rakan plus the Vi.
Dude, we have not seen a Vex in a while, have we? Like,
it's been a hot second.
Yeah. I'm looking up the name of her ultimate right now because I don't remember what it is.
So,
she is such a good big AoE burst mage to follow up on that hard engage, which is why I kind of do like it. And EG, they're not showing any.
Oh, there it is again. Yet. Wow. Yeah, I was talking about this earlier. On blue side, you're probably going to see more of a bruiser being blinded if you're trying to put Dhokla on something with a lot more agency, especially in the early game. I do like the Malphite pick into it, though. I think that this lane is actually a lot easier now to survive against Renekton.
Since they buffed that W, it's crazy in melee matchups for sure.
Yeah, it actually wins, or it actually starts winning at some point after, maybe first base. You can actually start to win some of the trades. The problem is Renekton can always pop that ulti and, get the push. He's definitely going to be a problem as well in the Rift fight as well. He'll have the push as well, so I mean, we'll see what's going to happen. I do think that this is going to be a really bot-centric focused game, though.
off to a nice start in our first one. It was close for a while, but their team fighting prowess ended up giving them the lead that will result in the win. Now it's up to CLG to find their way back in here. Contractz on the Vi, going to be looking to be a big engage mechanism here for the team, along with that rakan of Poome to set this up for Palafox and Luger to knock them down. Really the only person on EG that is going to be tanky is Ssumday on the Malphite. Palafox is going to have a lot of opportunities to chain some resets, some ultis, some Vex highlight reels here.
Yeah, but Ssumday will be tanky. Very, very, very tanky, that's for sure, on the Malphite. See what they can do with the level 1. Interesting level 1 kind of delayed here for EG. They still have 4 members on the bottom side to try and push in.
Yeah, I think they're just really trying to secure vision for them right now and make sure that the enemy doesn't have any vision as well.
Well, with everybody sort of just keeping an eye on each other before the minions spawn, we actually have another sideline interview ready to go, so let's see what's going on.
Thanks, Flowers. I'm here with CLG coach Croissant once again. Unfortunately down 0-1 in the series, but blue side for the second game in a row. What were your main adjustments for the run back?
Yeah, so the main adjustment for this game was just, we knew they would hold the same bans, but we didn't want to give them the same jungle matchup, and also how we gave them the Varus, we knew they'd take it, and we wanted to get ourselves onto the Zeri this game. And so we played this bot matchup a lot before against these guys, but also just in general, and we're pretty confident about the options we have. And then on the 4-5, we pulled out the Vex, which is a Palafox special, and it's something that has a lot of threat onto their jungle through support all throughout the game, right? And so we should be getting the better of them in a lot of our skirmishes, whereas last game, early, some of the skirmishes went awry, and then made the rest of the game harder to play. So.
Awesome, yeah, Wukong Bang makes a lot of sense from last game, but then also what needs to happen with this new draft early game for CLG to have the win?
So what needs to happen is that they index a lot into early power, but that we are taking, once we do get our base armors off, and once we do get back onto the map, that when we sync up with our jungle support, when we sync up with our jungle mid, that we are taking fights on like a slightly uneven playing field, because they should get an early advantage, but we should start cleaning up fights really consistently between like 8 to 20 minutes.
Awesome, thank you so much for the context. Once again, good luck.
Great highlight there from the observers on Hawkshot, one of the most broken basic abilities in the game, in my opinion. It gives so much info to evil geniuses. They see Contractz up on the top side clearing down towards them, so they know they can just fully abuse this Ashe Varus lane right here. You see them constantly pelting Luger and Poome with damage. And one of the other things that's a big difficulty here is that it's not just bottom lane. While Vex has a lot of offensive power, it can be a sitting duck. It's very, very dangerous here if you're playing versus Ahri plus Lee Sin. And as I'm talking about it, Jojo's landing everything here and gets a flash by himself. So when you're drafting like this, you have 2 lanes that are going to require early jungle attention. Your mid lane and your bottom lane from CLG are both going to be under heavy harassment and get pushed up very heavily by EG. So Contractz here just getting a nice little health trade versus Inspired. That's actually a big win in jungle matchup where you are losing bot and losing mid to be able to get a free, 200 health and the ward out of the Lee Sin. Is definitely the best that Contractz could even hope for here, because he doesn't want to fight 3v3 bottom. He doesn't want to fight the 2v2 mid with flash disadvantage either now.
I will say this game is going to get really scary for CLG if this mid matchup starts playing out like this, because remember, this was the counter pick to Ahri. If Vex can't lane versus Ahri, they're going to start translating that mid lead into bot, and CLG's bot lane's not going to have a chance to play the game. And you can already see the pressure that they're going through right now this early into the game, and yeah, this is going to get really dicey for them.
Inspired thought about recalling there, instead just going to hang out, passes through mid. Not really a lot of opportunity to make a play on Palafox, but he does have an easy chance to grab both Scuttle Crabs here nice and early, despite the fact that his invade into CLG's jungle did not go the way that he wanted. He's feeling just fine. Ssumday takes a free turret shot up here in the top side, and both junglers show up. Contractz can see that Inspired will arrive to the lane first, so they can't make a play on Ssumday.
A bit of a oopsie by Ssumday there. He was winning the lane quite hard. I don't really know what was going on in the lane before that for Dhokla to be that low and Ssumday to have like almost full potions, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Ssumday gets the base now. He's gonna have Bramble Vest, and he's actually gonna save his TP. So he's in a really comfortable spot in this matchup, which is a pretty good sign for the early game. Oh, let's see if they make this happen.
They really want to go before Jojo has level 6. Try to tax this Ahri's resources. Jojo's still having the flash. Doesn't even have to use it. He's not afraid of these guys whatsoever. He can just walk that one off, takes no damage. Jojo's doing just fine.
Yeah, Jojo is playing comfortable this series. You can already tell. This is some really cocky gameplay by him, and it's looking like it's going to start to become a kingdom.
He's got the emote game on point. That's how you know Jojo's in his element. He's trash talking, he's spamming. Yeah, he's ready to go. He's back to his usual self. Evil Genius is starting up the first Drake of the game here nice and early, not even 6 minutes into the game. Remember, in the previous match, they got 3 out of 3 neutral objectives at the start of the game, 2 Drakes and a Herald. The Herald not getting used successfully, still counts for about half credit. EG going for a nice early start here yet again in game 2. We'll see if CLG does anything to try to steal it away. Maybe Luger shoots a laser over the wall and tries to get lucky, but I don't think a whole lot else will really go down. FBI and Vulcan doing a good job trading onto Luger and Poome here. They just got the stronger 2v2 straight up in that situation, so they can force him back, and EG earns themselves an early Infernal Drake.
And as far as credit goes, you know, as a jungle, being able to get that early dragon is so heavily dependent on your bottom lane winning. And because they were able to keep track of Contractz and just allow the Varus Ashe to constantly harass and push in the bottom lane, they went for that dragon off of the forced recall there. Luger was in base on the Zeri recall timing. The EG bottom lane had already recalled, came back with the serrated Dirk, so that earns them dragon number 1.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a double win because if you looked earlier as well, Palafox was under his turret in So if for whatever reason, oh, wow, that missed.
Swinging a miss. That's big.
They might still try to dive this though. Oh, Ssumday?
Ssumday has his ulti. He'll buffer through the fear to escape. Ssumday doesn't die, so Palafox's roam. Yeah, you're going to get the ulti out of the Malphite, but that's it, and he has TP to return to lane after he heals.
Yep, and Ahri's going to translate this down to bot now to pressure bot lane harder. This is looking really, really bad for CLG. Luger's going to die here.
Luger at 250 HP here on the Zeri. Vulcan's just putting arrows in him, man. Man, what? First blood over to Evil Geniuses.
Wow.
My AD carry versus the AD carry? No. My AD carry versus their support.
Oh my god. And the bot turret's already going to be down to 3 plates with a almost 20 CS lead now already at 7 minutes.
I kind of want to look back at the seconds leading up to that top roam, because that was a pivotal moment for CLG. You know, they're under so much pressure. They really needed to make something out of that Vex roam. I have to wonder, maybe there was miscommunication on timing for the stun. I assumed that's why he threw out the ultimate like that, was it was going to be a Renekton stun into guaranteed hitting the ultimate, but there was no stun, it just whiffed, and then without that ultimate, then he couldn't even finish off the Malphite as they went through for the chase down, and that is a big window, and pretty much the majority of any threat that CLG would have on the map at all early, just kind of out the window.
I mean, you could normally use a prio timing like that to actually get bot river control with your support and your jungle. I mean, Vi was taking red bot side in the meantime, and I think that would have been the better play for them to kind of help, you know, fend off the siege that's happening bot lane right now from the Varus Ashe early game. But yeah, losing that timer, getting nothing for it is so critical. And if EG gets this rift right now, they're going to just run away with this game.
And look at the map. They should get it because Vex walking back right now. Jojo pushes in the mid lane wave. So they've got mid lane priority so easily secured that the Rift Arrow's at 4k health and Jojo's recalling. He's like, you got this.
This is such a difficult situation, too, because of what you mentioned, Revenge. They picked the Vex into the Ahri. They're saying, we want this matchup. And for things to be favoring Evil Geniuses, for Jojo to be so comfortable dealing with this 1v1 situation, it's pretty dire straits. Luger and Poome at least getting the opportunity to get out from underneath their turret for once in this lane, struggling to deal with the power of the Varus and the Ashe during the laning phase. They're going to get the chance to go down here now, farm up some plates themselves, utilizing the fact that they've got the tempo, they got priority for once because of EG wanting to commit to being able to secure that Herald.
Yeah, I mean, they do get some compensation. They get the 2 plates. I don't know if Vulcan had to commit so hard for that roam, just considering the mid situation.
Okay.
But I think that now it's still going to be a bigger win for EG because of how low the plates already are bot on CLG side. They're probably going to be able to break the full turret on the next 2 or 3 minutes, which is overall going to be a lot more gold.
Yeah, I think CLG definitely need to be looking towards the next play to make right now, and that is with Contractz ultimate on the Vi, ready to go. Guarantee next Vex ultimate does not miss. You make the all-in, big burst play, and try and get at least a bunch of turret plates, if not a whole turret out of it yourselves.
Yeah, and the sooner they can accelerate this game and kind of get Varus going, get him to the mid lane, start sieging mid, you know, controlling the Drake stacking, like, this is kind of how you want to play when you have Varus as your AD carry and you have Ashe, because Zeri obviously is going to be way stronger than him the second she gets to like 2 or 3 items, and you don't want to be in that situation as EG.
Jojo, level 9, has his flash, has his ult. Contractz is hanging out nearby, but I'm sorry, I just don't see a world where this equals a kill for CLG. Jojo knows it too, so he's going to continue shoving up, has a couple of waves of lead of farm over Palafox, as Poome's going to look for maybe a chance here. Jojo loses his bone plating, but still not too worried about it.
Yeah, while the camera up here is on the CLG play that they're attempting on Jojo, and he's avoiding very nicely, there's also a mirrored bottom lane play where EG are trying to make him...
Jojo flashing, and there they try to separate the follow-up from the initial engage. Jojo getting away for now. A little bit of damage over the wall from Palafox, doesn't hit. Jojo finally dies. CLG had to throw the kitchen sink at him, but they do find the Evil Geniuses mid laner. Now here in the bottom lane, FBI and Vulcan are going to respond by looking to take down the tier 1 turret.
Yep, the sink hit at least. CLG finally gets something to hit, but this is the play I was talking about during that setup. EG had a mirrored play on bottom side, 3 people plus the Rift Herald, that tower's gone.
Yeah, I mean, Jojo dies, but at what cost? I mean, they're going to lose bot turret. Oh, woo!
Inspired wants a move on Palafox here. Nobody
really
there in
kick.
time to follow up. That's the issue. He got a little bit too hypey. Meanwhile, bottom lane, AD carry combat 1v1. FBI popping the heel, trying to close the distance on Luger. Lets it fly and shoots him right in the back.
Man, that is a huge solo kill. Holy, he hasn't even based yet.
And he's flashed in the straight line. Oh, FBI is happy to get that one. Luger down, EG get the bottom turret, and they get Dragon number 2.
I mean, man, this game is going exactly as EG wants it to, and exactly just from draft. I mean, this is exactly what you expect when the players are playing their matchup as well as they can be. And I mean, Jojo makes so much time here that they get to get so much bot lane as well, and his death is, you know, honestly doesn't really amount to anything.
This is how hard it is to get away from Vi plus Rakan with flashes in the mid game, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So much range. Yeah, the jump in there to start out from Luger, and he just gets nailed by the ultimate from FBI. FBI plays it well.
Oh!
On the
Max range,
flash.
man. Max range.
Usually you'll wait to see the skill shot start to come out, then do the flash, so you can guarantee you're not going to get lined up by it, but nice one there from an FBI.
Inspired getting caught here in his jungle on top of a ward that he did not recognize was there. However, he's Lee Sin, he can get away. It does cost his flash, but he does not give any money over to CLG. They will at least get themselves the chance to steal away the enemy red buff here. I do believe they could finish that one off. And that just means that Evil Geniuses are aware CLG are looking to make moves up here on this half of the map in their side of the jungle. FBI and Vulcan aren't too worried about it. 115 versus 91 on marksman farm count. EG building up these leads in the early game. Only 30 seconds left before the turret plates fall.
I want to give huge props to Ssumday as well this game. I mean, he tanked the early gank top as well from the Vex, and he's completely even with Renekton. This is such a good game for a tank. Like, it's such a good thing to do as a tank to be able to go even against Renekton, especially as Malphite, a tank that's going to provide that kind of, you know, one-tap utility in the fights later. And man, it's going to be a really hard game for CLG going forward.
What do you think is the play here for CLG then? If you're bleeding out in the early game like this, if you're in a spot that just feels kind of bad, like they're taking everything in the early game, what do you say? What's the comms like to guarantee that you stop that bleeding and have a chance here in the mid game?
I think that they have to try to get creative. Like, anytime that EG is going for vision, like if Vulcan and Inspired aren't in sync, they can try to maybe fast engage on them with, you know, Zeri going over the wall, maybe Vex dropping a wave. And honestly, at this point, if EG plays correctly, it's going to come down to that third dragon fight. And they have to, you know, honestly, they have to be really creative with how they fight. Like, Renekton's got to find a good flank, find a good flash stun angle on maybe Varus, who has no cleanse. You know, they have to try something in the third dragon fight, I think. That's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised that CLG used these heavy engage tools that they have on one of the most mobile champs that EG have in the Ahri, instead of using them on the Varus plus Ashe lane, which is the thing we are talking up so much in Champ Select, is 2 low mobility carries down in that lane could be pretty heavily abused and much more easily caught.
Yeah, and I mean, CLG is actually starting the second rift. I mean, they want to make some fight happen before Varus gets even stronger. The problem is Zeri's not even on Mythic, but we'll see if they can, you know.
Dhokla has teleport.
Yeah.
Luger and Poome standing right next to one another. You don't want to clump up for Malphite. Vulcan's going to try to keep everybody away here with the volleys. Inspired Sonic Wave over the wall. Where's the resonating strike? Dhokla tries to frontline for CLG, but he loses a lot of HP very quickly. FBI is going to be marked for the ulti there from the Vex. Palafox into the back looking for the enemy AD carry. They lock him down. They blow him up. It's 1-for-1 so far. FBI traded away for Contractz. Jojo wants to chase Palafox and Poome right back out. Charm hits the enemy support. And with Vulcan and Ssumday ready to follow up, I would think they're both done. Nice ulti coming out of the big man in the top lane. And Evil Geniuses make it 3 dead bodies in CLG jerseys.
Yeah, that was a really hard fight for CLG to win. I mean, they're trying though, you know, they know they're kind of on somewhat of a timer with this Renekton pick. And man, it feels really, really bad to lose a fight like that, especially before the 3rd dragon. They did get the Rift Herald though. Some compensation, but
Rift Herald acquired, and that they could use that to try and get their first tower and get a bit of money before that next dragon fight.
Yeah, I mean something. Well, I would say actually after this replay, but I think Palafox actually lands a really good ulti here. Like this fight kind of went the best it could, I thought, for CLG, and it just wasn't enough. Oh wow, Inspired got a really good pick actually on Contractz.
Yeah, Inspired on the Lee Sin, kicks Contractz back, then Contractz ults into Jojo, but 1-for-1 trade as Palafox assassinated the Varus here, landing his ultimate from the brush, from Fog of War.
Yeah, I mean Varus actually died without dealing much damage in that fight, but Zeri was actually cut off on the other side, so he couldn't really get in and do, you know, what Zeri likes to do. But
then Ssumday held his flash and ultimate for that whole skirmish and then blast them towards the end.
Yeah, and it's going to be pretty hard for CLG to get control here. And like you were saying, I think not a bad play for CLG to do would actually run to top lane, get gold on that Zeri with the Herald, but they're actually going to just try to brute force fight this 3rd dragon anyway.
Dhokla already using the ulti here. Means CLG wants to find some sort of an angle, some sort of a fight, but unfortunately for them, EG just disengage it.
Yeah, they're going to actually go through bot here, just, you know, make sure they can't get flanked. They have decent vision for it. And this is, I could see Contractz is actually looking for a flank right now.
EG kind of buying time for Malphite ult to come up right now. Look at Ssumday's ultimate, just a few more seconds on that. If they push out mid, EG push the minion waves, Contractz flanking.
Contractz has been found by Inspired, however, which means he cannot go in looking for that charged up Vault Breaker. Dhokla's at half HP and has no ulti. Ssumday's still waiting a few more seconds for the Malphite ult. Contractz jumps in, but he only finds the enemy top laner. Contractz is already about to die. He goes unstoppable, but is he even gonna live? Yes, he is. They turn it around. They kill Ssumday instead. Dhokla's gonna be traded back. It'll be a 1-for-1 here with the top laners at the start as Jojo tries to get away and Palafox wants the damage. They found another in the pit, and FBI drops to Poome. Evil Geniuses retreat back over the wall, and CLG answer the challenge and win a team fight for the 3rd Drake.
Oh, this series keeps delivering. CLG punch back at EG finally here. They get a dragon for themselves, and the Rift Herald by itself took 2 towers. That was during the setup for the dragon. Rift Herald took the outer tower, and then after it finished, it took tower number 2 there on the bottom side. The only drawback is there is a significant amount of gold that is just local, and with no champions around, will go into the dirt. But it really opens up some room for them to play where they had been bleeding to Evil Geniuses over the last few seconds. Now, let's take a look at it, how they actually are able to kill Ssumday.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a huge blunder by EG. I mean, they got the Renekton ulti. I thought it was really hard after that, but watch. I mean, Ssumday just got exploded, and Dhokla actually, Dhokla took a bit to die, but look at Palafox's angle here.
Yeah, he resets, he gets his ultimate onto Jojo, while Luger is fighting both members over here on the Zeri, and then with FBI stuck in the pit, FBI has nowhere to go, so he goes down. They get another flash with forcing Vulcans over the edge.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how FBI got in that position. I think that was really critical because they needed some DPS, some burst, something to be able to kill Zeri there after they used the full Ahri combo on the Renekton. And oh, Jojo might be dead here.
Oh, nice find on Jojo. But can they stick to him enough to guarantee the kill? Another Vault Breaker finds him. Jojo now disengaging with more ulti charges. Contractz has to flash over the wall to get away from the ulti of Ssumday. No deaths. Everybody's still alive, but Jojo's got to head home and heal up a little bit. Was the flash used by Contractz? Was the teleport used by Ssumday to try to attempt the follow-up there? Minions finish off the tier 1 turret in the top lane of Evil Geniuses. That is the 3rd turret of the game, taken by CLG. They lead in turrets now 3-2, but they're still down 2,000 gold.
Yeah, I mean, not a bad play to try for CLG. I mean, it ends up just being a sum trade, which I think is slightly in the favor of EG, just because although Ssumday burned his TP, no one lost anything on the bot waves because the lane is so open. So it ends up just being a sum trade with Vi losing flash, which, you know, will probably matter for the next Dragon fight coming up, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, Contractz has been big playmaker here for CLG, and he's going the damage-heavy build, going into Divine Sunderer and then into Black Cleaver second here, starting with the Caulfield, so has a decent win threat without being able to do Vault Breaker flashes. A little bit harder to pull off those combinations on the backline. I will say Palafox has been able to snipe the EG backline towards the mid game in some of these fights though, which has definitely helped them out. EG still sitting in a very, very comfortable position though, I feel like, especially when they have Ssumday on the front line, being able to start up that engage.
Yeah, I am curious if EG is just going to wait to try to play around. Oh, pick on Poome here. Okay, nothing, but I was curious to see if EG is actually going to try to do something more on the Baron side here, because they probably want to abuse the fact that Luger is sitting with no flash and they have a flash Malphite ulti. I think if they do kill off Luger in these fights, it's pretty unwinnable for CLG and they could get a Baron, but we'll have to see how slow they want to play it.
Yeah, interesting because CLG, they're doing the trailing play where Contractz is moving down bottom side to clear out vision preemptively for Dragon, but they're sacrificing top side. So EG will get even richer here. They will get their top outer turret and they're going to get the local gold for it well before the Dragon. Still a minute and a half left to be able to reset and move your vision over. A lot of the vision here invested by EG towards the top side of the map, but they've got plenty of time to go back to base, reset, and retake the vision before CLG are able to get favorable positioning.
I mean, it's just good macro by EG because they want to play for that top T1 turret. They know they have a lot of time before they have to answer any waves on bot lane. Because, like you mentioned earlier, that Rift took those 2 turrets, so that leaves the lane completely open. And unless somebody's shoving those waves all the way into the bot turret, the inhib turret, no, you're not losing anything on the EG side for committing members on the other side. So,
Yep.
Just really good macro by them.
Well, Evil Geniuses are still 3,000 gold ahead. CLG still have to find a big one of these fights. It needs to be a shadow surge from Palafox just into the back line, ricocheting from champion to champion, resetting after each kill. The 100-0s, I feel like, need to be there if CLG want to find a victory in one of these fights. 30 seconds till the next Drake spawns, and that might be their chance to look for it.
And I hate to break it to you, but that reset highlight play is more and more difficult to do as the game goes on. Jojo again, Banshee's Veil second, has the protection here. Really, really good versus Vex because Vex is such a burst-oriented champion. And so really it's the EG bottom lane that he has to have his eyes on there for Palafox to try and assassinate. If he can kill those double AD carries, that would be the opening that they need. But barring that, EG, pretty powerful move here to get that vision reset we're talking about. They even get the Scuttle Crab before Dragon.
And a pretty big spike completed by Malphite just now. He got his Jack Show. That's going to make him way tankier than he was in the last Dragon fight, where he had no MR. He got one tapped by the Vex combo. And I just think that this is going to be a probably more difficult fight, but CLG is actually approaching it the same way. Going through bot, you have your vision for the Ahri flank. Let's see if EG changes up how they actually
But how does Dhokla even enter here? They've got Jojo as well as FBI. We're looking to snipe Dhokla, so Dokla's going to have to walk the long way around on the Crocodile. And Jojo will get mid push again. So EG are constantly kind of pushing in mid, trading out for bottom side push.
And this is good for Varus. I mean, he's landing poke right now. This is exactly what you want if you're EG. Oh,
Ooh, they threw out the chains of corruption there from FBI, looking for a pick on Dhokla. But with Dhokla having enough move speed and awareness to get away from it, now we'll see what EG look for after. CLG have started up the Drake, Inspired, still here slightly off to the side compared to the rest of his team who have taken up a position in the river. Dhokla again threatening the opportunity to go in,
watch
find
Ssumday.
that flank angle.
Watch Ssumday here.
Eyes on Ssumday. Where's the engage going to be? Arrow flies out, but it doesn't hit much of anybody. Poome, Palafox, and Contractz wanting to work together here, but Dhokla's made his entrance from the left side. Ssumday's low, but Dhokla's lower. They focus Inspired down first. CLG kill off the enemy jungler, and Dhokla's still alive. Palafox traded back down to 1-for-1 as Luger is charmed, and he tries to get away, but FBI hunts him down with a rain of arrows. Poome and Contractz now trying to escape back down into the bottom lane. They've lost both damage dealers on CLG, and Evil Geniuses want to put some more bodies on the ground. Ssumday's still looking here as Contractz and Dhokla get out, but all Poome's going to be is a desync death timer. One more auto attack from FBI seals the deal, and Evil Geniuses take the fight.
That was a 1-for-1 fight until there was a pretty obvious comms breakdown for CLG. Luger jumps over the wall behind 4 members of EG while the rest of the CLG members were trying to leave.
Yeah,
with just the 1 kill.
Luger got a bit overzealous. I mean, that fight was actually in a really good position for EG, or for CLG. I thought that they actually had healthier HP bars. They burned the Malphite ulti. I mean, the only problem was they wouldn't have Zeri ult to continue, but I still felt like they were in a much better position to fight if Luger hadn't died and just went in. But yeah, that's a huge win for EG. They really needed to win that fight. If CLG was able to turn that, they might have just turned the entire game.
On the reset, they get Dragon number 3 as well. Objective acquired. EG very, very happy now. Muramana transformed for FBI. The poke will be so much more deadly.
Yeah, I mean, this is where Zeri begins to kind of weather the storm, though, in the matchup. She got that Bloodthirster. I mean, you saw it earlier. He landed a poke on her, but it just didn't mean anything. He's just going to lifesteal on the next wave. He has that shield. It's going to be more now on their fighting, you know, can Malphite get on that Zeri, one-shot her? She is still that priority target for him because she is the only high DPS target right now on CLG.
And you might start to see a difference in the frontline takiness where Renekton and Contractz on the Vi not going to last as long in these teamfights as Ssumday with the full tank build here, and both of the CLG frontliners are kind of bruisery. Rakan as well, definitely a bit more squishy.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about it, but I will say what Dhokla did in that last Dragon fight was actually really good. How he was pressuring them from the flank, he was kind of weaving in and out. We can watch it here. Just look at what he's doing around Dot. He even burned the Varus earlier. It's not going to show in the replay, but this was really good positioning from Renekton.
Yeah, he dodges out on the active from Jojo.
Oh, we're not done. FBI tries to get away, but the Shadow Surge hunts him down. Palafox finally gets the burst on the enemy target that he needs to get. And Evil Geniuses have lost their AD carry. Save Private Palafox. Escort him back out of the battlefield. CLG gets a 1-for-0.
What an angle by Palafox to see that and go for it. This is really, really critical stuff that CLG needs to do things like this to be able to have a chance to fight EG more in this game.
And that was his flash too. FBI flashed down now. Again, the Ashe, the Varus. Definitely going to be perma targets here for the CLG comp, trying to find their opening. CLG still down 2,500 gold to Evil Geniuses, and Inspired is sitting on a Guardian Angel once again on the Lee Sin. So next full commitment of a team fight from EG. They just have a massive, massive front line here with the Lee Sin being able to revive, with the Malphite here for Ssumday being so incredibly tanky.
And we've got Banshee's Veil on Jojo, like you already mentioned earlier. We've got Stopwatch on FBI to drop the aggro of the dive the next time he gets hit by Contractz or Palafox or anybody. Worth also noting, Palafox went for the fully completed Zhonya's Hourglass second item. That way, whenever he goes in, he won't just immediately die after full committing to all of that burst. But Luger, he has the Bloodthirster, he has the Immortal Shield Bow, but he doesn't have something like a Stopwatch or a GA that's a full get-out-of-jail-free. So we still got to make sure that he's not over-committing with these jumps over the wall or something like what we saw in the last big team fight.
And I just want to say, CLG, there's no team in the league as good at them as this, just making the game so scrappy. Like, literally coming back from nothing. I mean, their early game was going as poorly as it possibly could. And this is like, the fact that they are having a chance right now and that they're kind of getting Zeri to these items is crazy given how the early game is going. And it's just, this has just been CLG and their theme. Like, the fact that they are the only team that can do this, I think, in the league.
And it's not even just the team fights. Look at the last, 30 seconds of macro from CLG. They had Renekton push in the wave to here on bottom side so that then their mid can move in and get all the vision around Baron. So it's these nice little things that they do to set up pockets where they can look for those picks with the Vi, with the Rakan, with the Vex and be able to maintain that control as well. Ssumday now heading over on the Malphite after EG have responded and they pushed out their bottom side. Now they're having to deal with that vision control that CLG just took.
And 75 seconds from now, we're going to be in a very difficult situation for CLG because EG is on soul point for the rest of the game. Baron is also up. You're in that spot where it just feels like you're pulled in opposite directions on the map. You don't want to overcommit to stopping a Drake. They might be able to sneak Baron. However, if you put everybody up on Baron, they just send one guy down to take the Drake and secure the soul. We see teams a lot of times struggle with the intense decision-making around these points of the game, and that's what CLG is staring down the barrel of here.
They're also staring down the barrel of some really scary power spikes. Jojo finished up his Rabadons, so it is 3 items really heavy burst damage Ahri right now, even with 8 stacks on the Dark Seal as well. Gonna have a lot of threat, especially if they're able to get the vision set up first.
And I think it's really good for EG to have this now on Jojo because they need to pack more of a punch in these fights because Varus is just not DPSing as much as, you know, some of these other hyper carry AD carries do. And, you know, this is going to be really important for the next Dragon fight because we need more damage from EG's side to be able to win these fights.
Drake in 15. Evil Geniuses moving everybody down into the bot side river to guarantee that they're ready to square off for this. CLG have Contractz waiting in the brush here. You can also see Dhokla around the backside of the pit. Inspire just clearing out these last couple of minions. Ssumday just immediately finding Contractz and saying, all right, let's go. If they kill off the enemy jungler, they're ready. And FBI's already found him. Dhokla jumps in only to die with his buddy as he cannot get a kill on Jojo back. It is a double kill over to FBI. Contractz with a critical error there. And EG with the instant punish.
It's over before it even starts. Flowers, the timing out of that stopwatch was pixel perfect, by the way. Contractz had flash. He was spamming his flash out of his stopwatch there, and he just got instant executed by FBI. Really good timing there from EG to first be able to suss out the enemy jungler. They find Contractz. Ssumday, no hesitation. It's like, hey, I'm calling your bluff. Even though we don't have vision on the rest of CLG, he instantly ults him. And then they delete him, so the rewards are everything. You get the Dragon Soul and you get the Baron.
I mean, insane adaptability by EG as well. They got so tired of just letting CLG go through that bot side, get that positioning on them, make the fight kind of riskier. They just went, hey, we're just going to charge in here, and if we see someone, we're going. We have Malphite, you know?
Yeah. And
just really well played to them, and good angle to recognize from Ssumday as well to insta-pull the trigger.
Yeah, because he's got his DPS right behind him. Now look at that, boom. Oh, he actually wasn't even spamming his flash. There was a second there, so he was looking to go back in.
Yeah,
he was looking to go back in, and he went right head first into the arrow.
Yeah, Dhokla knows that's a, you know. I mean, hey, if you're CLG this game, even going into the next game, win or lose. Oh.
Well, hold on now. Inspired potentially getting caught here, but that's Lee Sin with a Guardian Angel. There can't really be a lot CLG was expecting to be able to get from that. Ssumday now seeing if he can follow this one up, find a pick for Evil Genius's side. Dhokla's at about half HP. Ssumday is not worried about anything whatsoever. He knows how tanky he is. Luger looks for an angle on Jojo, but he's not going to get much of anything there as Vulcan and FBI take up position here in the top lane, getting ready to shove this one up now too. Evil Geniuses have 4 turrets. Tier 2s are still standing in both top and bottom lane, but it's FBI, Ssumday, and Vulcan looking to fix that here in the top side and continue this multi-pronged attack. Jojo's got a wave ready to crash into the tier 3 turret mid as Inspired floats between the 2 lanes, ready to help whoever might get engaged on or whoever there might be an angle to make a play on CLG with. Luger tries to clear out mid, but it ain't gonna work. Jojo has already taken the tier 3 turret as the remainder of Evil Geniuses are set to do the same thing here in the top side. Jojo pressuring the inhib now, making sure that CLG always have to be multitasking in terms of what they're addressing. Now they go in after Jojo. Remember, he does not have a Zhonya's. However, he can still get himself away. Contractz now has to disengage as Ssumday finds a knock-up onto 2, and one of them's Luger. Dhokla tries to get out, but Inspired's ready to go in.
Oh,
he jumps right on back, and FBI shoots down Luger with the inhibitors down in top and mid lane. EG's ready for their victory push. Luger's out of the picture, and so is the first Nexus turret. Evil Geniuses want to end this one right now and move on to a match point scenario. Poome tries to stop him, but it's not doing anything. FBI goes on a rampage, and CLG is forced back yet again. Health bars are low on EG's side, but it's not going to matter. It's Jojo and FBI again doing the damage. The Varus, the Ashe, the arrows, the plays. It's match point for EG.
Man, that has got to feel really good for EG to come back from their slump, go 2-0 in this series, put them on match point. I mean, if you're CLG though, I do think you should feel a little good about being able to kind of climb back from that early game. They're still putting up a fight. They're not just rolling over and dying like a lot of teams would. So
Yeah.
gotta hold on to that hopium for make the series not a 3-0 for them.
Yeah,
Really
if you're gonna make it happen, now you have to make it happen.
Yeah.
Every game here is a must-win for CLG if they want to keep this series going. And EG, what they have brought to the table after cooking up from the regular season looks miles better. Jojo looks better than he has in weeks, probably 3 weeks on this Ahri. Back-to-back games, really big performances from him. Ssumday, even though it's not flashy on the Malphite.
Doesn't matter if it's flashy. He's killing the dudes that win the game.
At times it is flashy when he's able to get the flash Malphite one. So honestly,
playoff someday.
Yeah.
Playoff someday in tanks. Like it's just the classic, actually.
it's looking so good there for EG coming out with their plan. And their plan that they have set up for playoffs so far, we haven't even had to see page 2. This is still page 1 of what they've cooked up for playoffs. So we'll see if CLG can push them a bit further.
We've been praising their team fight performances, their ability on the Rift. We're praising their drafts before the game. It seems like they've just got a coherent plan to make these things work, and they've put CLG in a real tough spot now. And with the 2-0 lead in this series,